So I'm Punjabi, but I'm not a Jatt. And in this video, I just want to talk about my experience being a non-Jatt Punjabi. Now, before we get into that, I kind of want to define what a Jatt is. Now, I don't really have like a super clear definition because there isn't really an answer. Like, different people believe different things. Like, you know, like half the people probably believe Jatt as a caste, half the people probably believe Jatt as an ethnic clan or whatever. You know, like I searched it up. You know, Sachaee Wiki says the Jatt people are a community in the Punjab region of northwestern India, and they are often mistaken as a caste. In broader terms, they are an ethnic group. Right? So, I guess Jatt isn't a caste. But if you click on Indian castes, Jatt shows up. So why would Jatt be under the category of Indian caste if it isn't a caste? You know what I mean? And then I was like, okay, so this is not concrete at all. Let me go to another website. So I went to sikhnet.com. It was like this weird article. And it says some prominent castes among Sikhs are Arora, Khatri, Ramgadiya, Jatt, Saini, Kambo, Maton, Chimbia, Mol, Chamar, whatever. Like, I haven't even heard 90% of these fucking castes, right? But here it says Jatt is a caste. So I think at a certain point in time, it was an ethnic clan, right? But, you know, when they came over to India, I think they kind of got intertwined with the whole system and the caste system at the time. So I think Jatt is a caste, because if you ask anyone what a Jatt is, they're going to say a farmer, right? So if Jatt isn't a caste, then why is it only associated with one job? On top of that, I feel like it's only compared to other castes. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like this is like a Jatt Khatri marriage or like a Jatt Ramgadiya marriage or whatever. You know, like that's what they compare it to, right? Because otherwise, if Jatt is an ethnic clan, then is like every other quote unquote caste an ethnic clan too, or whatever the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are the other castes then? Like, you know, what is Jatt the only ethnic clan? Like, is there no other ethnic clans? Like, you know what I mean? Like, me personally, I don't really know enough about all this shit. Like, I tried doing some research, but it's really confusing because, I was searching up, Ramgadiya is actually an ethnic clan or like a tribe. And this is a caste. And there's also like, you know, it's very fucking confusing. But for me, and from what I've seen, I'm gonna say Jatt is a caste. Now that we established that, let's talk about when I actually first learned about the whole caste system and Jatt and this, that. So I think it was like kindergarten. No, I think it was like grade 1 or grade 2. And my friend, I vividly remember this for some reason, right? Like, it was like an inside day, and I think we were playing On the Run on, like, you know, the computer. For some reason, I strictly remember this. I don't know why, but I do. And he like asks me like, yo, are you a Jatt? And I was like, what the fuck is a Jatt? Like, I don't know. And so I went home that day, and then I asked my mom, I'm like, am I a Jatt? Or like, I asked my parents, I think both of them there, and they're like, no, we're not Jatts, we're actually this. I was like, what is a Jatt? And they're like, oh, Jatt is a farmer or whatever. And they're like, oh, this is like this weird system. And like, I think they're just like, don't worry about it. I think that's kind of what they were saying at the end, right? But that impacted me. I was like, oh shit, like I was thinking like, me and my homie, like, we're like best friends, we're like, you know, we're like the same, we're both brown, we both got judas, we're the same, like all this kind of shit. And then when I learned like, oh, I wasn't a Jatt, I'm like, oh, I'm different, I'm not like him. And that made me sad. And there's nothing wrong with being different, right? It's like it's not like I only have brown friends or anything too, right? But that's when I first learned of like the caste system. And most of my family is like pretty religious. Like, all of my cousins have their hair, like all of them have judas, pugs, whatever, gurdura. Like, I'm probably one of the like least religious people in my family, you know what I mean? And I still have all my hair and everything too, right? So this caste shit never really came up in our family, you know, like we never talked about it or anything, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like aside from Jatts, like that shit doesn't really come up. I only hear Jatts talking about that shit, like, oh, but Jatt, hold this, you know, all that kind of stuff, like that ego or whatever, that pride. I don't know, maybe I'm tripping, right? But like, that's what it seems like. You hear it in the music, you see it in the movies, you know what I mean? But growing up, like, I didn't really hear too much of it. Like, obviously, I think, you know, like my friends or like at school or like social places, like I would hear it more often. You know, like people be like, oh, apa Jatt, like, you know, like, or just kind of assume I'm a Jatt, you know, not really asking or whatever. Like, oh, like Jatta koi gal nahi, or Jatt don't care. Like, you know, those kind of things, like those, like they just say that kind of shit, right? Like every so often. And I don't think I really told anyone that I was not a Jatt either. Like, I never claimed it, but it's not like I denied it either, because I mean, I thought that shit was stupid anyways, you know what I mean? But most of my friends didn't really care about that kind of stuff either, I think. And I feel like most of these people that do kind of say like the shit about Jatt and everything are kind of like the people that also say Gyani. You know, like it's usually the same type of people. And obviously you also heard it in Punjabi music and movies. So I didn't really like listening to Punjabi music because I would just hear Jatt to this, Jatt to that. I mean, especially recently, I feel like back in the day it wasn't that big of a thing. Again, I didn't really listen to Punjabi music. I don't know, it was kind of weird. Like growing up in Surrey, like when I did grow up, I remember I used to be like really brown. Like I remember I used to be made fun of for being so quote unquote brown. I remember people call me like fob or like a dipper. I remember I used to bring like, you know, brown food to school and like they would make fun of me and like other brown kids would make fun of me. I remember like one of the funniest things is that I don't know if it was like early elementary school, right? And it was pajama day. Like I was so brown, I didn't know what pajamas were. I thought they were talking about pajama. I was like, oh, it's a kurta pajama day? Oh shit, that's sick. And I never really participated in like school spirit shit. And I don't know why. I was like, oh, kurta pajama day. Like it's my time to shine. Like I don't know why I did do that. So I pulled up in a kurta pajama the next day. And all the kids were like, what the fuck, you sleep in your kurta pajama? You know, so I kind of realized after that day, right? But I didn't know. I didn't even really know English in kindergarten. Like I learned that at school. Like I was born and raised in Canada, but I didn't even know English when I went to kindergarten. And like most of my friends, I remember like they were also like immigrants or people that didn't really know how to speak English that well. Like those were my friends. Those are the people that I really got along with. I used to speak Punjabi in like most of elementary school with my friends. So because of that, like I kind of started straying away from like Punjabi or like Punjabi culture, like those kind of things, because I feel like I was kind of embarrassed. I don't know, like is embarrassed the right word, or like I just didn't want to get made fun of, you know, like that's why I told my mom, like I want to take sandwiches to school. Stop giving me aloo parathe. I want sandwiches, mommy. Like, and it's sad too, since like aloo parathe and like brown food in general like just tastes so much better, you know. But like I just didn't want to take it to school because I get made fun of, and like, you know, people would ask questions and I just didn't really want to deal with any of that, you know, and I would just be seen as like abnormal basically. And recently, like I kind of wanted to get back into Punjabi music. I'm like, yo, like this shit pretty hard, you know, like this is like my culture. But like whenever I listen to that stuff, it's just Jatt to Jatt to Jatt to Jatt. Like 90% of Punjabi songs have like, it's something about Jatts. And how am I supposed to relate to it? How am I supposed to vibe to it when the song isn't about me? It's not really about being Punjabi, it's more about being a Jatt. But anyways, I just wanted to share my thoughts on like why I don't really feel Punjabi anymore. And it's not just because I'm not a Jatt. Like it plays a big part, since I feel like Punjabi culture is like synonymous with Jatt culture. And the last thing I want to say to kind of prove my point is, whenever you see anyone that isn't Punjabi doing something Punjabi related, whether it's like doing bhangra or vibing or like kind of singing Punjabi music or something along those lines, the comments are usually going to be whatever race they are and then Jatt after it. So if it's a black dude, Kala Jatt; if it's a Gora Jatt, and like so on. And I think it's like that since most Punjabis are Jatt. So Jatt culture, Punjabi culture, it's going to be the same shit since most Punjabis are Jatts. And I think that we should stop perpetuating this stuff, like just stop with these labels. And obviously I'm gonna say that because I'm not a Jatt, so I don't really benefit from, you know, obviously being a Jatt and like that kind of whole community and like the vibe, I guess. But I think at the end of the day, regardless of if it's a caste or not, it just creates division. People, that's just another thing for people to fight about. And those things do happen, right? Like there's gurdwara for different castes, like, or certain castes only. Like why is that a thing? Like that should not be a thing. Like gurdwara should be for everyone. Sikhi should be for everyone. You know, like you shouldn't discriminate based on anything. But that does happen. marriages fall apart because, oh, this person is not a Jatt or this person is not this. Like, what? Like, why are we carrying this shit on? Like, it's useless. Like, does being any of those things really help you in any way? In my opinion, no. So those are my thoughts on, not being a Jatt and not really feeling Punjabi. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about all of the things I talked about, whether it's just if Jatt is a caste or not, or like, is it okay to call yourself a Jatt, or just like the word Jatt being used in media. Let me know in the comments. I'm really curious. But thank you guys for watching. Subscribe for more content. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video. Follow me on all my socials, and peace.